Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. My name is Winged Supernova. In the last episode, we took care of episode 3. And in this episode, we're going to start episode 4. I say that we finished episode 3 and that's it, but there was so much more. We reunited with Kazuma. We unmasked the professor and saw that he was actually Kazuma's father, and we got absolutely no answers after those mind-shattering reveals right there. And we also didn't get much of a chance to talk to Kazuma himself either. He said that he would explain everything and then left, like Tuxedo Mask. So, well, I guess we'll run into him maybe probably this case. But another thing I should add right now, these next 2 episodes, I'm recording this later than what I usually do at about 11 p.m. So I got to be a little bit quieter so that I don't disturb anyone, don't wake them up. But yeah, I got to record, so might as well do it right now, you know. So, without further ado, let's get started on episode 4, Twisted Karma and His Last Bow.
Pipe in hand, Sholmes looked down at the thick, rolling fog outside our window. I wonder exactly how many mysteries are out there, hidden within this bed of fog, he said. Indeed, a most bizarre incident, born of a curious advertisement. A hellhound's mad gallop through the shadows of a serial murder, an executed man's graveyard resurrection in the dead of night. And a commonplace killing in a small, forgotten room at the edge of town. There is, naturally, always another side to every case, of which most remain ignorant. And it is that other side which compels me to the scene of the crime, Wilson. So quickly now, take your hat and let's be on our way, my dear fellow. For our adventure is not over yet. Come, the game is afoot.
So not much to go off of there, which is interesting compared to all of the other stories that we've seen so far. They're really keeping this sort of under wraps, which, oh boy. 8 days after that earth-shattering trial and Kazuma regaining his memory, we were in the foyer of one of London's most luxurious hotels, the Great Waterloo Hotel. Oh, really? When's the last time we were in a hotel in an Ace Attorney game? First game? Was that? Yeah, maybe the first game, or maybe the last case of the second game. I don't remember any other time though. Great Waterloo Hotel foyer, November 1st. Professor Mikotoba is due to arrive at any moment. Yes, I'm so glad we got here in time. Susato-san hasn't been the same since what happened. Not that I'm surprised. The truth about Kazuma-sama's father. Do you suppose my father knew? That he was actually the mass murderer, the professor, you mean? I knew that's what she was thinking about. There's a good chance, I'd say. I mean, they did come here to London together 16 years ago, didn't they? Yes, that's true. Come to think of it, didn't you say that Professor Mikotoba knew about Kazuma going missing in Hong Kong as well? That's right, but for some reason, he wasn't at liberty to talk to me about it. That probably means he knows then. About Kazuma showing up here in London with amnesia and that he's regained his memory now. Ah, there she is! Oh. Wow. Looking very different from what you usually do. Like a proper Londoner. Oh, Father! What voice did I have? I gave him like a boisterous but deep voice. Sort of like just an elderly gentleman. Hello, Susato. How are you? I'm very well, thank you. We're delighted you've arrived safe and sound. Hello, Mr. Naruhodo. Very kind of you to take the trouble to meet us here. Oh, no, not at all. It's my pleasure. I can't give him the same voice as what I gave the judge, because he's so much different now, right? So we'll change his voice a little bit. We've heard all about your extraordinary exploits here in London, you know. The news has crossed the seas. It has? I always look forward to reading the monthly reports that arrive with the steamships from Britain. Oh, I see. Well, thank you very much. Who is this man, and why do I feel as though I've seen him before? I take it from your expression that you can't quite place me. In that case, how about a little reminder, Seishiro? A firm tap should do it. Yes. A firm tap? What? Here we go then. I hereby pronounce the defendant, Ryunosuke Naruhodo, guilty. Oh, you're... Yep. This is the judge. The court will now hear the trial of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. That's right. Didn't I give him, like, the Tekken announcer's voice? I sort of remember that now. Let's try that again. Welcome back to the stage of history. Your Excellency! Hello, Judge Jigoku. How are you? It's been a long time. Ha 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 ha! Good, you've remembered now. That really did the trick. Guilty. Only I was declared not guilty, wasn't I? And there was no laughing at the time. So, London again after all this time. Hard to believe it's been 10 years. To be honest, I never thought I'd be back. Neither did I. It's like the same voice. I don't know why I'm doing this. I didn't imagine Japan would ever be invited to an international symposium like this. Though, really, I doubt anyone did, to be honest. It's all thanks to you, isn't it, Seishiro? What are you talking about, Eugene? Ha 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 ha. Of course, Judge Jigoku. He must complete the set. He's the other man who 16 years ago came to London with Kazuma's father and Professor Mikotoba. He's the third visiting scholar. Yeah, and the fact that both of them somehow were allowed to return back to Japan is very fishy to me, right? It's almost like they were placed there by the British government to act as puppets for the judicial system here in Great Britain, right? That's what it feels like to me. Even though Mikotoba is supposed to be like a doctor, we still had one of them, the judge, who was placed in Japan's Supreme Court. And not only that, but Mikotoba, you know, being a doctor of medicine at the university, might have had something to do with the whole Giselle Brett incident that we don't quite know yet. Well, all those passport checks and luggage searches at the border took rather a lot of time. Oh my goodness, took rather a lot of time. I must say, I'm very envious of your ministerial status. You didn't have to go through any of that, did you? Ah, I knew you were jealous. Ha 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 ha. Sorry? Ministerial status? Yes, didn't you know? Seishiro here is also Japan's Minister of Foreign Affairs. Of course he is. It was his personal insistence that allowed you to take Kazuma's place here on this study tour. Oh, interesting. Guilty as charged. Oh, well, thank you very much. He's really every bit as important as he looks. Ah, yes now, Naruhodo. I received a telegram from Lord Strongheart yesterday. Oh, you did? It appears that some things came to light in a trial you were involved with 8 days ago. About what happened 10 years ago. That tragedy. Well, you brought it up. Yes, could you tell us any more about it? I guess. Just gonna poke and prod right off the get-go. No time to waste, I guess. So, how was the voyage here? Maybe not. Well, 50 days at sea is a long time by anyone's standards. But it wasn't as bad when we first came 16 years ago. No, that's true. Then I truly wondered if we wouldn't be drifting in the vast ocean for the rest of our lives. This time we followed the same route as you, so we were able to relax and enjoy the experience. Ah, so you stopped in France's beautiful capital, Paris? We did, yes, though only for one night. And yesterday evening we left the port of Dunkirk for Dover. Just in time for the symposium, in fact. It starts tomorrow. It's wonderful that you were invited to attend such an important international event. I'm very proud of you, Father. It's thanks to Seishiro here. 16 years ago, he managed to ingratiate himself with Britain's Attorney General. I'm sure that's why he was invited. I suppose you could say I'm something of an appendage by default. Speak for yourself, Eugene. You are close friends with the professor of forensic science at a major hospital. Yes, well, I'd rather not dredge all that up, really. Oh, really? And why's that? No, there's been a lot of water under the bridge since then, but it doesn't bring him back. Yeah, you know, I have always said that with these mystery games, I don't like to think too much into things, just like, you know, trying to remember every single word that every person says, so that I have an inkling of sort of like the twist or the resolution to the mystery as I go along. I don't like to do that because I like for the game to, you know, lead me in the right direction and then give me the opportunity to either prove myself or, you know, reveal it itself as sort of a bombshell. And those moments are very impactful, so I like for the game to try and, you know, do what the game is supposed to do and impress me and wow me, and it's much more memorable that way. But right now, I can't say that I'm not hanging off of every single word that these people says, and that's just because of how enthralled the last case got me in this overarching story that's bubbling to the surface now. So yeah, definitely looking forward to the rest. Kazuma's father, I suppose. Speaking of, the professor, the killer who took the lives of 5 members of the British aristocracy, was actually Kazuma's father, wasn't he? That's correct. Genshin Asogi. Genshin. Alright, well, there's a joke to be made about that name, but that's low-hanging fruit. You knew, I presume, Father? Yes, he was a close friend at the time. Genshin came back to Britain as a police detective. He was studying investigative techniques at Scotland Yard. I've never understood what drove the man to commit such heinous acts. It was a closed trial, so the public never knew the truth, and he was executed with little ado. To this day, very few people know what really happened, even in our homeland. But what about Kazuma? Did he know? Did he know the truth about his father? Oh no, of course not. He was told his father passed from sickness. However, I suspect he may have had his doubts. Oh, why? As you know, I tried to guide Kazuma growing up, as if he were my own son. Then one day, he came to my office at the university and said, "I've decided I want to travel to Great Britain and study there." Do you think he wanted to come here to investigate his father's death? I don't know. But when I looked into his eyes, I did know that there was no way I'd be able to stop him. Something else came to light in that trial the other day, actually. Oh? What? Well, having disappeared in Hong Kong and been missing for almost a year, Kazuma's since turned up here in London, working as the apprentice of Lord Van Zeeks. What? What? That's news to us. So, Lord Strongheart's telegram neglected to mention that part then. As you know, we both thought Kazuma had died on the steamship during our voyage to Great Britain in January. But he didn't die. He's alive. As you knew, didn't you, Father? In actual fact, no. What I did know is that when your ship docked in Hong Kong, he mysteriously vanished. We sent a team of investigators to Hong Kong to try and ascertain what had happened, but to no avail. But he's still alive? And here in London, you say? I never dared even to dream it. Why on earth did the young man not make contact? The government and the police have been chasing clues fruitlessly for months now. Well, it seems that he was suffering from amnesia. What? Amnesia? When we first came across him again here in London, he didn't know who either of us were. I see. He only regained his memory 8 days ago. This is unbelievable. Yes. It's quite miraculous. I wonder why Lord Strongheart didn't let us know. I must speak with him urgently. I wonder how Kazuma's been these past few days. Would it be wrong of us to go and visit him? Just add more topics. That began 16 years ago now. It's a distant memory, really. It was Eugene here, Genshin Asogi, and myself. We were the original 3. The first judicial scholars from Japan to travel overseas to study. Ocean voyages were not what they are today, I can tell you. 16 years ago, things were tough for their generation. Your father was an exceptionally fine medical student at Yume University at the time, you know, young lady. Yes, grandmother told me. He went to do research at a great London hospital to study autopsy. Practically unheard of in Japan. Yes, it was an eerie place, sandwiched between the back of a prison and a burial ground. Ugh, not more talk of graves. So wait, what? Interesting. So the hospital? Wait a minute, we didn't know about that. That's a detail that they're trying to gloss over right there. So he researched at a London hospital that was sandwiched between the back of the prison where he was executed and a burial ground, which was where his body was dug up. That's very interesting. Very often, there's no one willing to deal with bodies following autopsy work. So you see, autopsy labs have something of an unavoidable relationship with graveyards and prisons. Not my cup of tea at all. Do you remember that Scottish prison governor? Kaiden, his name was. He was a good man. Yes, but then of course, in our 6th year here, everything changed with that dreadful case. When Genshin was arrested for a series of the most gruesome murders. I simply couldn't believe it. I'd known the man for years. I was a witness at the secret hearing and I tried to speak in his defense, but you went a little too far and ended up facing charges yourself, didn't you? Well, suffice to say that after that trial, we were sent back to Japan. There was nothing more we could do to save Genshin. He was a lost cause, sadly. I don't buy it. Susato buys it because it's her father, but I think he's more shrewd than we let on. Well, if you'll excuse us now. Yes, I'd like to get this trunk up to my room as soon as possible. Oh, I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have held you up here for so long.
I'll call for the porter then. Just wait here.
And she's gone in a flash. Susato-san's gone off at a run. I'd like to stay and talk more, but I do have various preparations to make for tomorrow. Yes, of course. It must be a big responsibility representing our entire country. I wish you the best of luck. Naruhodo, I hope you'll keep an eye on Susato for me. Keep looking after her as you obviously have been. Oh, no, I mean, if anyone's looking after anyone, it's her looking after me. Well, I do appreciate you being there for her. After all, I've been a miserable father to her. I've thoroughly let her down. Sorry? What do you mean? Well, it was 16 years ago that I started my long study tour here in Britain, as you know. The very year Susato was born. Oh, so you're knowledgeable about this, and you're knowledgeable. You're acknowledging this. Yes, I heard. The birth of my daughter was the most joyous event of my life, but... well, sadly it was accompanied by the most tragic event of my life, too. Oh, yes, Susato-san hinted at something like that.
It was a rather turbulent time at home.
Anyway, I won't bore you with the details. The point is, I became rather less dependable than befits a grown man. And it was then that Seishiro offered me the opportunity to study here in Great Britain. I was too worked up about you to leave I was too worried about you to leave you behind. So perhaps I was a little heavy-handed when it came to persuading you to accompany me to London. So, that's what happened in a nutshell. And that's also the reason why I now feel compelled to give my daughter as many opportunities as I dare. Though the world does not readily afford young women such things, I must say. I completely understand, Professor. Not wrong. One other thing, Naruhodo. If I may be so bold, I have a favor to ask you. Oh, really? Of course. What can I do for you? Well, the thing is,
I'm so sorry that took so long.
Oh, it's him. That was he was one of the guys from... he was one of the jurors from the third case of the last game, right? Wasn't he like the head of the cab company, or the car company? I don't remember what the hell they called it, the carriage thing that McGill had killed someone in. Miss Susato?
Now then, allow us to take your bags.
I don't remember what I gave him as a voice. Allow me to take your bags. One moment, if you please, Porter. Of course, sir. That machine around your neck. It's a camera, I believe. Quite right, sir. Just 5 shillings for a lovely photograph to commemorate a wonderful stay at the hotel, sir. Well, I think given the occasion, we could justify the expense. Yes, of course. He's holding a fan. That's interesting.
I'd like to thank you for coming with me, Mr. Naruhodo.
Can I get a look at that photo? I wanted to see what he was doing with his right hand there, because I saw him holding the fan with his left, but I didn't see what he did with his right hand. Maybe he stuck something into our back pocket or something. Because he did want to ask us for a favor.
I'd like to thank you for coming with me, Mr. Naruhodo. It's really made Father very happy, I think.
Oh, well, I'm pleased then. But we were interrupted before. Professor Mikotoba was about to ask me something.
Shall we return to Baker Street then? I expect Iris will have some delicious tea waiting for us.
Yes, let's go. I'm getting more and more anxious about Kazuma, though. Perhaps I'll try to meet with Lord Strongheart later and ask after him. Alright. Interesting. So we know of no case yet. I suppose we're supposed to go back here first. Oh, you've got the mask, huh? That was the mask that, Cosmo was wearing, right? I don't even want to try that. I think that might be Sholmes's violin. What was that?
A man screaming in a most unflattering way.
Do you think it could have been Mr. Sholmes?
Oh my, I do hope not.
Definitely not. 2 new characters. Wow. The bright red hair on that guy on the right. What? Very posh looking, too. And then the person on the left is just bawling their eyes out. They've both got feathers in their caps. So I wonder what their punny name is going to be.
Weh, I don't do it anymore.
Mon ami, mon ami.
Stop this disgraceful display, huh?
Who are these people? Look at their hair. It's bright red.
I think they must be clients of Mr. Sholmes.
Oh, Gina.
Right, you two. You're coming with me now. Down to the clink. No, not in prison. It is dark and damp and I don't like it. Bof, the darkness. It is my friend. I am not scared. Where? But you are always scared of the dark. Shut your mouth, you idiot. I will sit quietly in the dark and plan our next daring heist. Where? I don't like this. I don't like it. Well, tough. We'll finish this down at the yard. Now get moving. Bye then, Jenny. Have fun. Oh, yeah. Thanks, Iris. And thanks, you great detective. Gina makes a fine detective herself, doesn't she? Oh, Susie and Runo.
Hello, Iris. We're home.
Well, did you find your daddy? Yes, we arrived at the hotel just before he and his friend. Oh, well that's great news. I hope I'll get to see my daddy again soon.
Jesus Christ, Iris.
Man, it must be nice having a father. Ah, yes, of course.
Dr. John H. Wilson. So, Iris, all that remains now is the greatest of problems known to man. Why did you do that? But before we concern ourselves with that, I believe some tea is in order, don't you, my dear fellows? Is something wrong, Mr. Naruto? Yeah, you look like Ronald McDonald. Do I have a crumb or such like on my face? Not so much on your face as on your head, I'll say.
Come along then, everyone. I've brewed a lovely special blend. Time for tea. Whatever is going on here today?
In that case, let us sit and drink now, for I am in fact expecting a guest later today. Ooh. Add that into the mix, a guest. Who were your 2 visitors?
Mr. Sholmes, who were the 2 gentlemen that were here before?
Oh, just a pair of petty criminals, nothing of significance. Of course, they have to make a living somehow. And when the mood takes me, I'm willing to turn a blind eye to all manner of infractions.
When the mood takes you?
All manner of infractions? But when such fellows set their sights on Mr. Herlock Sholmes, well, that's when their luck runs out.
Oh my, you were the target of a crime, Mr. Sholmes?
but I quickly devised a plan to entrap them and deliver them to our young detective ally.
You should have asked Gregsy to come too. We could have had an arresting tea party.
I did send word, but no answer was forthcoming. The man is consummately in the wrong place at the wrong time. There's a word for it, I'm sure. Aha! I have it! A bungler, that's the word. It's a good job he's not here to hear you say that. So those redheads had been up to no good?
I wonder what the men did.
Let's hope I don't have to do their voice while I'm being quiet because they seem like very loud people. What was that about the greatest of problems known to man that you mentioned before?
Is it another fiendishly intricate case, Mr. Sholmes?
How should I best explain it? Are you aware of the theory of evolution by natural selection, perchance?
Well, I think I've heard talk of it somewhere.
Possibly.
It's a revolutionary scientific theory that was newly proposed 40 years ago now.
By Charles Darwin, right?
According to its author, Mr. Darwin, we humans were once apes who lived in the treetops.
Wait, what? We were apes? Indeed, and from the very moment those apes descended from the canopy to live as humans, it has been our lot to be at the mercy of the greatest problem known to man.
Our lot? What is this great problem, Mr. Sholmes?
Why, is it not obvious, my dear madam? The problem of rent.
But did you not receive a rather large sum of money from Madame Tusspells only the other day?
Pshaw, a large sum? One potted herb for Iris and a new motor car for me later, and all of it has quite disappeared, I assure you.
Honestly, Hurley, you know you squandered it.
Yes, well, anyway, 2 days ago, I discovered the answer to man's greatest problem, for the coming month at least. And what was the answer? Why, there was a substantial clue before your very eyes.
Don't tell me. Let me see.
Humans are sorry creatures, unable to see what is in front of their noses. Let me give you some assistance. Don't look, but observe me very closely. There is one particular feature about my person that has changed. You should notice it in the end, I think. In the end? It's been stabbing me in both eyes right from the very beginning of our conversation.
I think we might need another clue before we uncover the full answer, Mr. Naruhodo.
Thanks for the hint. I'll be tearing my hair out if this charade goes on much longer. I suppose that's true. We'll talk about his lie in a second. I'm going to check the mask, of course. The mask Cosimo wore when he was assigned to Lord Van Zeeks as his apprentice. When he cast it aside after the trial the other day, I just sort of picked it up.
We ought to give it back to him, I suppose.
But he has his memory back now, doesn't he? And I can't help feeling he might turn around and tell me coldly to wear it myself.
But isn't he your best friend?
Yeah, that would be kind of out of character for him, wouldn't it? Is there anything new? I don't notice anything over there. Nor over here. Oddly enough. But his violin is here, so I can check that. This is Mr. Sholmes' famous violin. The one he found being sold for a son at a pawnbrokery. What's it called again? A Shodi something?
Oh yes, this wonderful instrument features in The Adventures of Sherlock Sholmes. It's a world-famous Stradivarius.
What?
Stradivarius, Mr. Naruhodo.
Stragivor. Are you even trying now? We'll come back to this another time, I think. Is that going to be like the running joke? I'm assuming that that's a running joke that I've been missing. Where it's just him trying to pronounce Stradivarius and failing. What's on the newspaper for the day?
This looks like last week's edition.
What's that article circled in red ink there?
It's in an advertisement column. It says, "To the Red-Headed League."
Well, here we go. The Red-Headed League. What's that?
I don't know. I've never heard of it before, but...
Is something on my face? Clearly this has something to do with that lively hair. Well, I suppose we go back to Mr. Sholmes now and first talk with him about the lie and then present that to him. Mr. Sholmes, isn't it about time you told us the truth? Just over a week ago you said to us, "I will now tell you something of the first importance, my dear fellow. Great detectives are wont to lie. It will serve you well to remember that." That case aboard the SS Buria in January, Cosimo wasn't killed, and you knew he wasn't dead at the time. So what was really going on? The fellow was unconscious for a very long time. If he hadn't regained consciousness when he did, his life would have been in mortal peril. Of course, a side effect of the prolonged comatose state was amnesia, as you now know. It was a simple enough task to silence the crew. But how? After they'd carried him out of the cabin, I assembled them in the lobby area. Then I made them swear to leave him unconscious and have him unlaid from the ship in Hong Kong as a murdered corpse.
Oh, how horrible.
It was necessary to find some material with which to persuade the crewmen to keep their word, of course. But why? Why do it in the first place? I will be at liberty to elaborate in due course. But for the time being, I would like to reassure you. I didn't foresee subsequent events. What events? His disappearance in Hong Kong.
Oh!
I believe I may have made a gross error of judgment. Mr. Sholmes. Interesting. It looks as though someone circled an advertisement in this paper, Mr. Sholmes. To the Red-Headed League. Does that strike you in some way? I was thinking that just maybe it might be related to your bright red hair. So, at last you've learnt to apply my methods, Mr. Naruhodo. Sorry? In the first instance, and quite indispensable, observation. Believe me, I could have seen that hair with my eyes shut. So then, allow me to regale you with the details of my latest exploits. Regale or boast? Probably a bit of both. So what is the Red-Headed League, which seems to be the subject of the advertisement you've circled? You noticed it in the paper, then? That, my dear fellow, was going to be the source of this month's rent payment. It was? How? According to the advertisement, the Red-Headed League is a distinguished institution of fellows of unspecified governance. In fact, the only condition for becoming a member is having red hair. That doesn't entirely surprise me.
But listen to what the lucky redheads receive once they join. An unconditional salary of £4 a week. Oh my, £4 a week?
But why? What are they paying people for? That I don't know, nor no details are given in the advertisement.
But surely every red-headed person in the country would be flocking to join in that case. You're right, Susie. There's no time to lose. I'll put in my application at once. So will I, just on the off chance.
That might be stretching a point, I think.
The trouble is, they have a fixed number of members, you see.
Oh, I see. So once a certain number of people have joined, no one else can. But as luck would have it, one member recently passed away.
It wasn't particularly lucky for the redhead in question, I feel, Mr. Sholmes.
So you decided to try to join in his place? Correct. I mean, look at me. Have you ever seen such a red-headed fellow? No. So why? Why did it have to go so wrong?
What on earth happened?
A blunder, Mr. Naruhodo, though it pains me to admit it. Oh boy.
What did you actually do to your hair, Mr. Sholmes?
I'm glad you asked, Miss Susato. What you see atop my head is neither dyed nor a hairpiece. I changed the color of my hair overnight. By the wonders of chemistry. Chemistry? I was conducting some research into a method of rejuvenating spent tea leaves, and in the course of my work, I stumbled upon a potion that, when taken, turns one's hair a flame-like red. That doesn't seem safe. Would you like to try it? It will make every hair on your body perfectly crimson. I think I'll pass.
But Mr. Sholmes, is it quite safe to drink? Surely it's bad for you, isn't it?
Amateurs are always hampered by such fears.
Oh, I should never have doubted you, Mr. Sholmes. You mean to say...
But of course. To earn £4 per week, one must be prepared to turn a blind eye to a little danger. That degree of red signals more than just a little danger, surely.
So anyway, Hurley left full of confidence yesterday with his new red hair. For the park on Lime Street where the Red-Headed League were interviewing prospective new members.
So what went wrong? The whole park was choked with red-headed folk, like a Costa's orange barrow. I queued for 8 hours solid before at last I reached the front, but when the panel of interviewers saw me, they immediately said, "Ah, Mr. Herlock Sholmes, are you in disguise to conduct an investigation?" So naturally, I had no choice but to reply, "Shh, don't give me away." After which I could do little else but turn and leave. Then this morning, when I looked in the mirror, irritation stirred within me. So I turned that pair into the police.
Oh dear, what a disaster. For Hurley and those two redheads. Mr. Sholmes, you mentioned before that you were expecting a guest today?
Indeed, Miss Susato, that is correct. Not another one of those red-headed gentlemen that were here before. Not at all. They were petty villains. The guest I am expecting is a client. Oh? A young gentlewoman who wishes to appoint the services of this great detective, no less.
Oh, how wonderful, Mr. Sholmes.
You must stay and observe the fashion in which a great detective receives his customers. Must we? I have you in my clutches now, Rent, just as I have you in my clutches, redheads. Ah!
That hearty laugh is masking rather sinister thoughts, I feel.
I agree, Susato. I agree.
You know, the lady isn't due for another hour yet. Don't feel as though you must wait around here if you have other things to do.
Okay, well, I guess we will go here and, try and get some answers out of Strongheart. And it looks like our good friend Von Zeeks is here. Here's the final draft of the opening address for tomorrow's proceedings. I've supplemented your original with the figures you asked for from the yard. I see. Excellent work. Thank you. You're welcome, my lord. What's Lord Van Zeeks doing here?
My, there seems to be an awful lot of tension in the air, wouldn't you say?
This place is stifling enough as it is. We really don't need any more tension. My apologies. I didn't notice you come in. Your small stature and dark dress make you all but invisible to me.
Oh, no, it's entirely my fault for wearing black, I'm sure. From now on, you must dress in white from head to toe whenever you come here.
Now then, Mr. Naruhodo.
Yes, my lord. I'm right here.
Ugh, kill me now. Is something wrong? Perhaps it's a little too hot in here for you.
Oh, no, not at all. I mean, I've never experienced a room at such a perfect temperature.
If you're sure, the beads of sweat carving their way down your face seem to suggest otherwise.
Because of the daggers you're glaring at me with, mainly.
As you're no doubt aware, my International Forensic Science Symposium begins tomorrow. In fact, your father arrived in London earlier today, I hear, madam.
Oh, yes, that's right, my lord. He's extremely honored to have been invited.
I'll leave the remaining preparations for the meeting room in your capable hands then, Lord Van Zeeks. I will attend at once.
Bye. He gave you a very cold stare as he left, didn't he?
I know, but I haven't done anything, have I? These past few days my feet have barely touched the ground, I must say. My dedicated right hand of many years was recently put out of action in spectacular fashion.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Is your left hand still of wow. Mr. Naruhodo, he's talking about Dr. Scythe.
Ah,
of course. Yep, English not your first language. I'm terribly sorry about that. I was just,
Fear not, you've done nothing wrong. Dr. Scythe's own wrongdoing precipitated this situation. You needn't concern yourself with it any further.
That would be a lot easier to do if it weren't for the piercing stare you're giving me.
Lord Van Zeeks is doing an admirable job of holding the fort. Though disturbingly, his apprentice has been missing since yesterday.
Oh, missing? What's become of Kazuma-sama now? Yeah, don't say that too loud.
Not long ago, visitor numbers to the Great Exhibition exceeded 30 million.
With 30 million? Are there even that many people in the world? As a comparison, Mr. Naruhodo, the population of the imperial capital of Tokyo is 2 million. Wow.
I will be opening the International Forensic Science Symposium in the exhibition's main auditorium. This event has been 2 years in the making. 2 years of preparations and negotiations with other countries.
It sounds like a tremendous achievement. Congratulations.
The 20th century will see the wholesale adoption of forensic investigation techniques. And cooperation between policing organizations around the globe will be essential. Which is why this landmark first symposium had to be hosted here in the heart of our great British Empire. In order that Scotland Yard can become the leading investigative organization in the New World.
He's the same as ever, I see. That passion of his is quite something. You're every bit as passionate in your own way, I'm sure, Mr. Naruhodo.
Well, passionate for the truth, maybe. I'm the only person in this country who truly cares about a future that embraces forensic science. It was my intention to become Her Majesty's Attorney General and reform the Yard from the ground up. So the disgrace of the forensic investigation team has been a bitter blow to my ambitions. I first established the forensic investigation team a year ago, experimentally to start with. With Dr. Scythe at the helm, it was steadily accruing an impressive record of achievement. I was on the verge of changing its name and elevating its status to a full-blown forensic investigation department.
And can you not do that now?
Obviously, nobody wants to hear anything about it at the moment. Even I can't keep this story out of the papers. 6 million Londoners will be cursing forensic science now. This incident will set back our country's advancement in the field by a good 10 years, I'd say.
Unintended repercussions of our trial. We simply couldn't have overlooked what had happened, though.
Of course not. We should all be grateful to you both. Anyway, I'll still reform this country's policing when I become Attorney General. This might delay my plans, but it won't alter them. Nothing will stand in my way.
About Lord Van Zeeks' apprentice.
Ah, yes. That came as a surprise to me, I must say, that you and he are old friends.
How did he become an apprentice to Lord Van Zeeks in the first place?
It came about 3 months ago. An unidentified Asian man was apprehended by border police. They found him hiding aboard a large goods vessel.
Oh, really? Oh my! So he stowed away to get here.
He had no papers to identify him, no passport, and he was suffering from amnesia too. Other than the fact he was clearly of Eastern descent, there were no clues as to who he was. So I decided to assign him to Lord Van Zeeks. That way I could keep an eye on him.
That's weird as hell. I'm not gonna sure. That's weird as hell. You find a random Eastern man stowing away to get into the country, and instead of, putting him in shackles and shipping him back to the east where he came from, you decide, okay, put a mask on you, give you a sword, and have you go be an apprentice under the greatest prosecutor in the entire country. That makes no sense. But then, why the mask?
I didn't want to burden Lord Van Zeeks with tiresome explanations about why he had an Eastern appearance.
Because it would be so much easier to explain why he was wearing a mask?
He's proving to be a great help to Lord Van Zeeks. I have high hopes for his future.
By the way, do you know where he's gone?
No idea, but I believe he's left London for the time being.
Oh, and why would you know that?
I take it you also didn't know. That the man's father was one of our country's most infamous criminals, I mean.
Genshin Asogi. What we learned from that trial 8 days ago was a huge shock. Finding out my friend's father was...
Ah yes, Genshin Asogi. The professor case 10 years ago caused a great stir here in Britain.
They were such awful murders, and unprecedented, using a ferocious dog as a murder weapon.
And no one would have believed the culprit was a foreign student invited to study here by the government. So the true identity of the killer couldn't be made public then, and can't be made public now. Nobody in your country knows it was him, and neither do the citizens of London.
The main motivation was to avoid aggravating relations between our two nations at the time, I understand.
Correct. However, it has to be noted that there were some supporters of the professor's apparent cause.
What? Supporters of a mass murderer?
The majority of the man's victims were a blight on the aristocracy of the day. Somewhat ironically, their deaths actually benefited society as a whole. Or so a few fair thinkers of London believed anyway.
Right, I see. But it was still murder, wasn't it? Well, we'll see. We really don't know much about the case. It seems very similar, doesn't it? The idea of the Reaper of the Bailey.
It does, doesn't it? I take it we're supposed to present something to you? Maybe not. Maybe there's something to examine. Nope, doesn't seem like it. Don't see anything in particular. And we've already conversed with everything, so I guess we just have to present this. Could I show you this, Lord Strongheart? Nope. I'm the Lord Chief Justice. I'm not here to offer advice about evidence. Oh. Especially when the evidence in question is so dull. Ah, so that's the real reason. What about this one? Nope. Not this one either. So we don't have anything to show him at the moment. I don't think there's anything that we can really... I mean, the only thing we can do is really examine things around here, and I don't see anything of importance. So I guess we move? Is there something upstairs? Haven't been here yet. Ah, nope. Doesn't seem like anything here, unless there's something to examine. Doesn't seem like it. Yep, that's definitely Naruhodo's desk, and that's definitely Susato's. How's the terrarium or aquarium going?
All the sea life seems very content in there, I must say.
I've noticed something recently, actually. The anemones breed at a most extraordinary rate.
Oh, really?
It's a mystery why the whole seabed isn't buried in a mountain of them, actually.
Oh, how splendid! That really is a mystery, isn't it?
Probably not as big of a mystery as you might think. I wish there was someone here to explain Susato-san's strange reaction to that. Let's see. Oh? Seemed as if there's, we were getting the phone call here. Ding-a-ling-a-ling. And you know what? We're going to find out what that phone call is in the next episode. Because we're about at time. And we don't want to start a new scene now, do we? So, that's going to be it for this one. Not too much in the way of interesting new info in this one. But yeah, we did get a pretty interesting combo with Professor Mikotoba and the judge, Jigoku, I think his name was, yeah. But yeah, pretty interesting combo with them, but otherwise nothing too crazy. But yeah, that's going to be it for this one. Thank you guys very much for watching. If you liked the video, please leave a like. Comment down below and tell me what you'd like to see changed, what you like about the video. Give me some feedback, that'd be great. And subscribe for future videos, because I'm working on a few extra things in the background alongside this Let's Play. So yeah, look forward to those in the coming days, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.